Hey, it's Tim.
And it's Amy from GoWithLess. Thanks for being here with us today. I am hoping if we do a good job that this will be one of the most helpful videos we will ever put out. And as we were talking about what today's video was going to be about, we were in another direction altogether. We were talking about more specific things to parts of our nomadic life. But what came out was almost like a little bit of a like a therapy session. And for those of you who are potentially interested in a nomadic lifestyle or just interested in seeing what we're doing, we had a major realization, and we are going to be sharing it and talking about it in today's video.
So here's just some quick background on us before we get going. So we retired in 2015 in our late 40s, and we became full-time nomads this year in 2020 in January. We sold our home and we are traveling full-time. Our intention was to be out of the country for at least 9 months out of the year, starting in June. That did not happen. We are still in the States. We will probably be here through the middle of next year or until COVID lets us leave the country. So with that, we're going.
And actually, when you say we're going to be out of the country for 9 months, I'm actually thinking more like 10 or 11 months a year.
There you go.
Yeah. So we've been talking 10 or 11 months, so you just threw in 9 months. Okay. Now, here's this subject. So Tim and I have been working with our nomadic life. We're almost 6 months into it. And by the way, this is our feeling. So every single nomad has their own way of doing things. This is not going to be the same for everybody, but this was major for both of us. So here we are approaching our nomadic life kind of like we did with our long-term travels. So in the past, 2 years ago, we were in Europe for 9 weeks. A year ago, we were in Europe for 7 weeks. We're kind of approaching it like that. Well, what it really looks like, nomadic life, we're like, it feels like we've never traveled before. It feels very new to us in a way that feels kind of odd, very like unsettling, I guess. And what we have figured out today is that our lifestyle is not about traveling. It's about settling somewhere, settling in somewhere. And we're going to, like I said, we're going to get kind of deep into this. But it's about settling into a new home and just having that home be a short time.
Our desire is to be settled. So that doesn't mean that we're always going to be in a situation where we can be settled. If we're moving from place to place to place, that doesn't work. But what we found over the course of the last 6 months of doing this is that we really want to be in a place for a longer period of time. When we started our plans for putting together our nomadic life, we were thinking that maybe our ideal situation is we would be in a given place somewhere between 3 and 6 weeks. And so over the course of the last 6 months, we've determined 6 weeks is sort of the minimum where we would like to be at a place. We didn't necessarily have an answer for why that was. It's just something that sort of was evolving. And today I think we had, like Amy said, we had this aha moment. And it's about being settled, which is completely strange coming from the two of us who say that we're addicted to new and sort of we like having new experiences. We certainly don't want a home.
We have no home.
We still don't want a home. However, settled is something that we are seeking.
Whoa! Okay, so let's get this straight. Amy and Tim, who have been battling the viewers, suggesting that they settle down, and their families, by the way, that have suggested that they settle down and have a home somewhere just in case, they are now saying that their goal is to be settled. Yes, you've got that right. Nonetheless, this nomadic life is perfect for us. So this does not make any sense, and hopefully we're going to, like I said, we're going to flesh this out. So when Tim says we were looking at 3 to 6 weeks, we were really looking at about a month was going to be our ideal target. And this is just upfront, and we're evolving and learning with you as we're on our journey here. But so we were looking at like maybe 3 weeks at the minimum. 6 weeks would be like a really long one. But in our last place, we were planning to be there for 4 weeks. And halfway through 2 weeks, we were just feeling like we had just gotten settled. And we realized we're halfway through already. And at that point, the homeowner said, hey, do you have the ability to stay for up to another month? And we did have the ability to stay for another 2 weeks. And we said, we'd really love to do that because we're seeing like, we're not ready to go in 2 weeks. We're not ready for us to be at the halfway mark yet. So we did extend it to 6 weeks. So we had a 7-week stay in New Orleans. We had immediately followed a 6-week stay in Tennessee. And now we are here on a almost 7-week stay in Asheville, North Carolina. Now, the crazy thing is, so imagine if you are just a normal person that is not nomadic and you are moving. It is a lot of effort to get yourself packed up into a new place, settled in, knowing where your new stuff is, the quirks of the home, the new grocery stores, and all that stuff for the area. We are living that exact same life, squished in to 6 to 8 weeks. When Tim says,
not only squished into 6 to 8 weeks, but also with a lot less stuff, so we don't
going
have
with less.
That's right. So we
Going
don't
with
have to
less.
pack up a whole house full of stuff. We basically have a car full of stuff that we're traveling with. So there is that as well. Just like Amy said, we are going with less. But we're still packing up and moving to our next destination, and there is a lot of effort associated with that. And there's a lot of effort associated with getting comfortable with the place. I think we've realized that it takes us 1 to 2 weeks just to get familiar with a place. So what are the grocery stores? How do I find the sales circular for the grocery store where I'm going to buy inexpensive groceries? Do I have all the things in the place where I show up that I want to make my life as comfortable here as I want it to be? Whenever we showed up here in Asheville, North Carolina, so we realized that our Airbnb was missing some things that we really wanted to have that you might not necessarily have in an Airbnb situation. Storage bags for 6 pounds of meat that we bought, and just a lighter for the grill. And so there are all these things that when we showed up, we sort of had to deal with. And again, we've been here a week as of today, and it's taken at least this week. We're still not 100% settled, but it's taken us a week to sort of get familiar with this
to be able
stuff.
to catch our breath. And I still don't feel like I'm there. So when Tim says a minimum of 6 weeks, just to put some cap on that, we're not looking for a minimum of 6 weeks to a year. So we're looking probably for, I'm thinking maybe we're adapting to about 6 to 8 weeks-ish. Now,
I think I'm more on the page of 6 weeks is the sweet spot. So
6 weeks is
we've
yeah.
had this conversation.
6 to 7 weeks, I think. We've done
we'll see.
2 to
There you
7
go.
weeks. I like it. So, okay, so with our old house, when we downsized in 2015 from our huge McMansion to our rental townhome, we were all excited because we had new walks. Tim and I love walking a city. So we had new walks where we lived, and where our townhome was still suburban, but less suburban than our big house. So there were grocery stores and coffee shops and fast food restaurants, which we're not into, but like pizza places. It was kind of exciting to be in a neighborhood where we could do that, given that the 7 years beforehand, we could really walk to nothing. So, but it took about a month. And then I said, I am totally sick of our walks here. Like, I've done all the walks. I've seen the places. I've seen the neighborhoods. I'm done with these walks. So we lived there for 5 years, and we needed to figure out new places to walk. I ended up going to the gym because I didn't really like my walks. Now, when we have traveled in the past, just vacation travel, if we would be in a hotel, for example, for at least 2 nights, I would unpack every single thing I have for 2 nights and have it all laid out in the bathroom, put it in the drawers, everything. So I'd want to be settled in. And when we would return from any vacation, no matter what, we might be coming back from Europe on 20 hours of flights, and it's feeling like 5 in the morning with our times difference. But I would unpack all of my stuff, get it all in the laundry. And so the first thing I'm doing when I get home is unpacking. So for me, it turns out that feeling settled is huge. And what a revelation that nonetheless, this nomadic life is a good fit. But yeah,
I think also that there's something that we sort of inherently knew, but we didn't put 2 and 2 together until we got on the road, and that's different in our nomadic life than when we were going on longer, even a 9-week vacation. So when you go on a 9-week vacation, you can sort of put your life at home on hold. So a lot of the things that you would do at home, paying bills and filling up the car with gas, or just the minutia of living your life, you can put on hold when you're away on vacation. Well, when we're living this nomadic life, we don't have an opportunity to put all those things on hold. All those things are still just a part of our day, and so we have to schedule that in, and we have to have a routine that allows us to address all these things in our life that we had back in our life when we were living in our townhome in Colorado. Now that's just brought to the road. So all producing our video, all these things that you simply have to put together to make happen, to make your life work, that came with us on the road. Whereas when we were traveling part-time or for extended periods of time, we could sort of, again, delay those things. So just living your life in a place, I can't remember if we said this or not in today's video or not, but we think it takes us about 2 weeks just to simply get adjusted and get settled in. So again, we've been here about a week. we feel like we're getting close, but we still don't feel completely adjusted to being here.
And here's why I think that might be. So as we're getting out of the house sit, now getting out of a house sit is next level packing up. So we are keeping that house sit perfection, and we're going above and beyond. We're often making a meal and keeping the kitchen spick and span and trying to reduce our groceries and try to cook with those weird remaining groceries that we have. And we're not getting a lot of I call it the business of Amy. We're not getting like the business of Amy and the business of Tim. We're not getting that done. We're getting the house sitting chores done. We're getting the laundry done so that when the house owners come, their home is perfection. All the beds are made with clean sheets. It looks like the housekeepers have just come. Well, to get all of our stuff in the car, we're accumulating things. We keep buying things because we're with a car. We're going to be in the United States until about April.
But when you say buy things, so it's nothing of substance. So I bought a lighter to light the grill here. We'll probably carry that with us. We bought gallon storage bags, maybe 40 of those.
Well,
those
that's what you bought, but I bought a whole bunch of stuff.
Bought a scale.
So I bought a scale. I bought a bathroom scale, a digital scale. I bought 2 sets of weights. We bought a cooler. Now we go to Costco and to Sam's Club. We got our membership again. We didn't think we would need our membership because we were leaving the country. Well, we now have memberships because different places have different clubs. So right here we have Sam's. Costco is an hour away. So we're going to do our Sam's here. Well, we're getting the big giant olive oil and the big giant paper towel thing and stuff like that. And so because we are buying bigger quantities because it's more affordable, our car is full. Now, here's kind of like a part two is, so if say you're moving cross country, you're taking your family and moving cross country, you might be the kind of person who's going to take a vacation along the way. We are not those people. So we would want to get to where we were going to get settled in quickly, and then great, we'll go see these people some other time. But
hang on, I'm going to say that we sort of were those people. We've transitioned to we don't want to be that. And so the reason I say that is we were planning to be in New Orleans, going to Orlando back in March, some month. And so we were planning to see friends along the way, 2 nights here, 2 nights here, 2 nights there, friends and family. So we were planning to do that in our journey and didn't even think a second thought about it. It'd be great to see our family when we're there. It's just sort of normal. Yeah. And so now as we are changing our thinking, it's like if we're going from one place to another, we just simply want to get there like we are moving, because we effectively, that's what we're doing when we go from place to place to place. And if you could imagine, it's like if we were going from here to spend one night someplace. And so every time we get out of the car, we don't want things either cooking in our car or freezing in our car or being stolen from our car. So we basically bring everything out of our car, even if we're going to be in a hotel room for a single night. So hopefully that's only a handful of trips into the room, but we're getting everything out of our car every time we get out.
And then packing it all up again.
And so there's quite a bit of effort just associated with that. And we want to minimize that. And we didn't realize that until, I guess, in the last week or so.
Yeah, so we've had a lot of our viewers have been so generous and have offered to allow us to stay, which is thank you in advance. That was very lovely. We realized that doesn't really work for us anymore because we're unsettled the whole time. And it's not just that we're unsettled on the road, but when we get to where we're going, we're also unsettled. Then when we get into the new home, it's busy, busy, busy again. We're accumulating groceries again. We're kind of doing some menu planning and just figuring out the lay of the land. These things start to pile up a lot. And that's part of, I think, feeling very unsettled because you still need to live your normal life. And so it is really different than a vacation. And we would have never, we're approaching this I think the wrong way. So really all it is we want to move our home every 6 weeks.
Yeah. So one other quick thing, and this sort of fits into the same vein, but having good habits that make our life function. So regarding to our health and regarding just getting our life move forward in a way that we want it to be moving forward, it's hard to have good habits when you have no structure to your life. So if every day is consistently, it's different, unless you're crazy disciplined, which we are not, it is really hard to have that sort of structure in your life. So when we get to a place, we can sort of rebuild the structure based upon what's going on in a place. And if we're not there long enough, we don't have the ability to sort of reformulate what that structure is going to look like. So, which we need. So if we're going to be doing the right things for our eating and for our health and just, again, getting the things done that we need to do.
And I'm trying to get that exercising and eating healthy ASAP, but I'll give an example. We drove all last Monday from Tennessee to North Carolina. It took almost all day because Tim had a lot of errands on the way, which I think was just crazy, but whatever. So we get to North Carolina. We had very limited food. We had almost like picnicky food in the cooler for the day. Well, the next day we get here on Monday night, unpack. We had Tuesday, we had to do our video, and the video has to be uploaded and totally done by bedtime on Tuesday. And it might seem like it's like a no biggie thing for the video. It is, there's a lot more to it, and it takes quite a bit of time. So we didn't have any groceries on Tuesday, and it was either eat or do the video. And so we did the video, and we ended up getting some quick food out at night, which was not our intention. But again, that was kind of pushed off because the video was thrown into the mix. So what I wanted to mention though is that I'm a homebody. So what an odd split here. But for me, it's really, really important for me to feel at home. And I think what's very one of the strengths I have is that I don't have to be in my home to feel at home. Now, 10 years ago, Tim would have never expected to do an Airbnb.
It's true.
10 years ago, Tim would have never ever considered house sitting. No way. Tim was only staying in a cookie cutter kind of a hotel with a very consistent experience. He wanted the consistency. And so when I kind of showed him, like, look, honey, how much money we can save if we look at maybe a shared Airbnb for a long weekend or something, he was open because of the cost savings. And now look how far he's come because
it grew on me.
But so the kind of cool thing is I don't have to be in my house to have it feel like home. And I think that that's why we're suited for this lifestyle. But for so many of our viewers who say, I could never leave my home, I could never do that, maybe consider, maybe you could, because Tim couldn't be without Tim, because both of us, I think, are an example of people who couldn't imagine doing this 10 years ago. I'm a homebody, nesty kind of a person, and here I am and I absolutely love this lifestyle. In 6 months, we have learned so many lessons, but I think this is the biggest one. And I think now that we have this shift, okay, like now we have a very different approach, I think, about how we come to a home. Okay, we're moving. When you're moving, you're not going to expect, and here's kind of a side note. In the land of COVID, at the time of COVID, people think that everyone has a lot of time on their hands. Well, we don't have a lot of time on our hands. And so what we really need to figure out is don't make any plans that as you're finishing up somewhere and getting into another place, there is some period of 10 days, maybe 14 days of don't be shoving all kinds of plans in there because you're needing to have that settled feeling. So yeah, so I'm curious, first of all, we have a lot of nomadic viewers. So if you're a nomadic viewer and you have been holding off on commenting, I beg you, this is the video to comment on. Do you have any connection to this? This could just be us. So I'm curious where our audience is. I'm curious if you're somebody who had thought that maybe you couldn't be a nomad, and certainly that's not for everybody, but maybe you don't want to be a nomad because you couldn't imagine being without your home. You like to be settled. So do I, but this lifestyle still is an A+ thing for me. So maybe just some things to consider. I'd love the comments. We'll come back next week. That was, I feel like I got a lot off my chest. It was like a therapy session.
Fantastic. Adios. Thanks for watching.